Like a pull-up, light a cigar, and you see with tattoos on their face, but we like, damn, what we got to lose? If we don't pop now, we going back to the hood. This is when I knew Eminem was real. It's like, I don't give a man. This is when I knew, I'm like, damn, Eminem is a real
Suge looked at him, and he took a puff of his cigar, and he blew it out, and he did like this, and they left.
Whenever Suge Knight's name comes up, the first instinct is to stay far away from trouble. But 50 Cent and Eminem were among the rare few who didn't back down, even when Suge was considered one of the most feared men in the industry. While most knew that having beef with Suge meant risking your safety, these two didn't flinch. They stood their ground and got caught up in dangerous feuds with him over the years, even going as far as sharing chilling stories of death threats and alleged assassination plots. Clearly, Suge's usual grip of fear just didn't work on them the way it did on everyone else.
Now it kind of changed a little bit. Like, when somebody from the barbershop like punch you and knock you out after that, like you be knocked out, like the guy from the barbershop do that, it changed.
Suge Knight ruled the West Coast through fear during hip-hop's golden age, dominating both the streets and the music scene. While running Death Row Records and dropping albums from Snoop Dogg, Dr. Dre, and Tupac, Suge also maintained a fearsome street presence. But surprisingly, a few young rappers refused to be intimidated, and none stood bolder than 50 Cent and Eminem, who challenged his power when most wouldn't even dare speak his name.
But he's never afraid of the world. He's always giggling. And I remember this story, it's why I always say, are you enlightened?
This was what truly made Suge afraid of them. Their recklessness was on another level. While everyone else trembled at the mention of his name, they stayed calm, focused, and completely unfazed, keeping their sanity intact and their heads held high.
I'm in front of the camera like this. Everybody there was running. It was just gone.
Suge was the former record producer and founder of Death Row Records. But beyond his music ventures, he gained infamy for his aggressive and often violent behavior, which earned him the nickname Boogeyman. His actions over the years turned him into one of the most feared and controversial figures the music industry has ever seen.
They was not scared of Suge Knight. They was terrified.
His alleged involvement in Tupac's murder became a key reason behind his lasting notoriety, as many believe Suge played a role in the shooting simply because he was in the car with Tupac on the very night the rapper was gunned down.
Not just by being in the car with the murders, but he was more involved than people think. It was the conversations and all that shit that led up to that day.
Moreover, Suge's reputation for violence and intimidation, both within the music industry and beyond, was well known and widely documented. One infamous example is when he allegedly assaulted Vanilla Ice's bodyguards and then threatened to throw Vanilla Ice off a balcony unless he handed over the rights to his hit song, Ice Ice Baby, to Suge's label.
Had my bodyguards who had guns, and they had their people which had guns, and they had us outpowered and outnumbered.
In addition to that, he was convicted of several other offenses, including trafficking, possession of a deadly weapon, and assaulting a family member. His association with the Bloods gang has also sparked rumors that he used his connections in the music industry to push the gang's agenda and strengthen their influence.
So if you shoot somebody, you go to jail forever. Some kids, you don't want to go to jail forever, right?
The feud between Suge Knight and Eminem stemmed from the larger-than-life persona Suge had built as a tough, dangerous, and deeply controversial figure in the music industry. Considering his history, it's no surprise he earned a reputation for being nearly untouchable and difficult to deal with. Even comedian Cat Williams once referenced Suge's intimidating legacy, contrasting today's drill music culture with past beefs, saying that at least artists like Ja Rule were still alive during battle raps, whereas now there's no remorse, and even kids are getting shot. Back in the late 1990s and early 2000s, when Eminem was just breaking into the rap scene, he faced enormous pressure and fierce competition. Suge Knight, known for threatening anyone he viewed as a potential threat, didn't spare Eminem either, targeting him simply because he saw his rising success as something to be feared and stopped.
You really doing those things you rapping about, you talking about, I can respect that.
Right.
But if somebody else writing your rhymes, somebody else, is you telling somebody else's story, that really don't mean nothing to me.
Believe it or not, Suge Knight was allegedly so threatened by Eminem's rise that he was determined to eliminate him as quickly as possible. even going so far as to attempt to kill him on multiple occasions. In at least 2 separate incidents, Suge was reportedly charged with attempting to take Eminem's life, claims that first came to light through Byron Big Naz Williams, Eminem's former bodyguard, who witnessed the threats up close and revealed the chilling details. Stopped.
Man, what they trying to do? What do they want? I don't understand. What do they want? I say, hey, man, they want you.
According to Big Naz, the first alleged attempt on Eminem's life took place in 2001 at the Source Hip Hop Awards, right around the time Eminem was skyrocketing to fame with his hit, My Name Is. It was during this period that Big Naz first got involved with Eminem's security. Interestingly, although Naz initially declined Eminem's offer to work together, he eventually reconsidered and agreed to take the job, realizing just how serious the threats against him really were.
So it was a duality of beef going on at the same time during the time I was protecting this guy.
On the very first night Eminem and Big Naz began working together, Naz was forced to physically protect Eminem from a potential threat. Although Naz originally joined the team hoping to connect with music industry executives through his work as a producer, his role quickly shifted to one singular priority: keeping Eminem safe. Reflecting on that time, he said, "I was working against the devil," and credited Master P and Priority Records for putting together a deal that worked for him. He recalled the 2001 Source Hip Hop Awards as their first run-in with Suge Knight and his crew, a night that turned tense fast. According to Naz, the event had strict seating protocols, but something was off. Rival groups of artists and bodyguards were seated dangerously close to each other. "We were at the Source Awards, and we all know historically someone always got shot," he said. Eminem was heading to his seat, but the layout placed artists and their security apart, which Naz believed was intentional, to encourage networking but also leaving artists exposed. He noted that this arrangement gave those with unresolved beef a clear shot at confrontation. At that time, the rap game was boiling with tension, and while the event organizers clearly aimed to prevent chaos, the situation quickly spiraled into something unexpected and volatile.
We were on the turf in LA during the whole East Coast, West Coast beef between New York and LA.
Eminem and his crew were under the false impression that they were safe, but in truth, they had unknowingly stepped right into the middle of the ongoing conflict between Suge Knight's Death Row Records and Dr. Dre. As Eminem went to take his seat, a group of men wearing red shirts suddenly surrounded him, shouting "Death Row," and creating a tense, hostile scene. They even claimed that Suge had personally sent them to stir up trouble, making it clear that this was no coincidence. It was a calculated move meant to intimidate.
And all these guys in red shirts surrounded him. And I'm looking at M Space and I'm looking at these guys. I'm like,
this unexpected turn of events caught everyone completely off guard and made it painfully clear just how real the danger was. Realizing the seriousness of the situation, Big Naz immediately stepped in to protect Eminem, quickly alerting Dr. Dre and his bodyguards to what was unfolding, making sure they were ready to respond and keep M safe from any potential harm.
I'm calling Dre's bodyguards. Call Dre. Look, man, we got a serious issue, man. Death Row is here, and they trying to fight. They trying to do whatever they gonna do.
Following the incident at the Source Hip Hop Awards, Big Naz remained on high alert and made it his mission to ensure that Eminem was protected at all costs. From that point forward, security became a top priority, and Naz took every necessary measure to keep Eminem out of harm's way.
All cost.
On serious alert at that point.
At that point, it was high alert.
He also requested that a car be kept on standby in case of an unexpected emergency, but because of the tight security protocols, limousines were only permitted to stop in front of the red carpet for a limited amount of time, making quick escapes more complicated and adding to the tension of the night.
The limo's pulling off as we're coming out. Death Row's behind us. So I'm like, shit.
As a result, Big Naz, Dr. Dre, and Dre's bodyguards had to stay on high alert backstage, constantly scanning for any potential threats to Eminem. While Dr. Dre and his security remained in beast mode to intimidate anyone who might try to get close, Big Naz positioned himself directly in front of Eminem and his crew, fully prepared to react instantly and defend him if things took a dangerous turn.
You couldn't even see him behind me. So the whole time, I'm on knockout mode or breakneck mode. You know, I'm more dangerous with my hands than I am with a gun.
Despite the stressful and potentially dangerous situation, Eminem refused to back down. He stood his ground with unwavering courage, showing true bravery as he faced Suge Knight's thugs head-on, even when they tried to intimidate and threaten him into submission.
All worried, man, that something can happen to us on our watch, man. You gotta understand something. I was under a lot of pressure, man.
According to Big Naz, this was just the first of 2 alleged attempts on Eminem's life by Suge Knight. The second, he claims, took place during an event in Hawaii where they received intel that Suge planned to harm Eminem. With that warning, Big Nas and the team took immediate precautions to ensure Eminem's safety at all costs. Allegedly, Suge sent over 50 men from Los Angeles to disrupt a private gathering that included Eminem, Snoop Dogg, and Dr. Dre. What was supposed to be a relaxing getaway quickly turned into a high-risk situation. Big Nas recalled that the trip stopped feeling like a vacation the moment everyone, including wives and even children, began arming themselves and putting on bulletproof vests. They were escorted by Honolulu police officers for the remainder of their stay. "Yeah, it was supposed to be a vacation, but it wasn't," Nas said. "We all had our wives, some had kids. We thought it was a break, but it ended up being a problem." Upon landing, they were rushed into transport vans by police, forced to act fast and prepare for the worst-case scenario. Due to the scale of Suge's influence, Interscope had to cover the cost of hiring officers from the Honolulu Police Department to serve as added protection, underscoring how serious the threat truly was.
I did go over there with a bulletproof vest on, heavy artillery, because you don't know how this shit gonna go.
Right.
You know, I was hoping to talk.
It wasn't just Big Nas who recalled what went down during that tense period. Others have spoken out too. One of them is Reggie Wright Jr., a former police officer who played a major role within the death row empire. He wasn't just connected. He served as the head of security for Death Row Records, giving him a front row seat to the chaos and control that surrounded Suge Knight and the label's darkest moments.
Suge had no intentions then, even thinking that he can get out of this deal with Interscope. He went up there to see. That's when they started talking.
According to Reggie Wright Jr., Dr. Dre and his team were scheduled to visit Power 106 as part of a promotional campaign, which included giving radio listeners a chance to win tickets to a private concert in Hawaii. As soon as Reggie learned about the plan, he wasted no time and immediately passed the information on to Suge Knight, who was behind bars at the time.
It's like, oh no, these ain't going out to Hawaii and have a ball. It ain't happening on our watch.
In addition, it just so happened that Reggie Wright Jr. booked himself on the same trip to Hawaii as Snoop Dogg, Dr. Dre, and Eminem. As a result, he later explained the entire incident that unfolded between Eminem and Suge Knight's associates during that tense and highly charged visit.
Him and this bodyguard on there, so they terrorizing them on the flight.
But at the end of the day, they all made it out alive and unharmed, which came as a huge relief to many fans who were glad nothing serious happened to Eminem and the others. One fan commented, "Good to see Big Reggie admit their faults. Even as a die-hard Death Row fan, hearing these stories can be funny, but it also shows why so many didn't want to do business with them." Another wrote, "People love real stories. Damn, Reg. When's the ID channel picking you guys up? These are stories for the Culture Museum. Can't help but love it." Despite all of Suge's attempts, he never succeeded in eliminating Eminem. Given the power Suge held at the time and his reputation for controlling everyone around him, it was a major deal that Eminem refused to bow to his authority or play by his rules.
You see all these guys talking about death row, motherfucker, death row, motherfucker, death row. So by this time, I cut in.
The feud between Suge Knight and 50 Cent wasn't much different from the one he had with Eminem. The audacity didn't come from M alone. Suge reportedly went after 50 Cent as well, targeting him for the very same reasons. Eminem and 50 Cent had formed a strong bond early on, ever since Eminem was signed to Dr. Dre's label after Dre parted ways with Death Row upon discovering Suge's shady tactics. While working closely with Dre, Eminem came across the music videos of a rising young artist, 50 Cent, and instantly saw something special.
Yeah, Eminem, he had got his hands on a copy of a mixtape that I put out through my attorneys, Theo Stedemeyer. Paul Rosenberg is Eminem's representation.
50 Cent knew early on that he wanted to make it big in the music industry, and it was Eminem who first recognized his raw talent and relentless hustle. After listening to 50's Guess Who's Back CD, Eminem immediately called Dr. Dre and told him about the untapped potential he saw in this rising artist, based on both his sound and presence in the music videos.
I brought it to Dre. Dre heard it. He was sold. And basically we said, let's do a joint venture.
After Dre gave 50 Cent's music a listen, he was quickly signed to Aftermath, marking a major turning point, not just for his career, but also in his relationship with Suge Knight. The moment 50 officially teamed up with Dre and Eminem, it was clear he was stepping into the big leagues. His rise to hip-hop stardom seemed inevitable, and with that level of success came a whole new kind of responsibility, the kind that forces a person to evolve, to carry themselves differently, and to handle pressure that few ever experience.
He would put up a track, he would write it, spit it, and go, yo, put up another one, put up another one, put up another one. And that was...
At the time, Suge had just been released from prison after serving a 5-year sentence and was focused on rebuilding his damaged record label. What he didn't realize, however, was that Dr. Dre's former protege, 50 Cent, along with the fresh talent he had brought under his wing, was about to become Suge's biggest rival in the music industry, threatening everything he was trying to reclaim.
It's unfortunate that things turned out the way they did, but nobody knows what the future holds.
Exactly.
And I'm just trying to move on with my life.
When Suge Knight launched Death Row Records, he had a clear vision of how far he wanted to take the label, and asserting his authority was a major part of that plan. It was only a matter of time before he crossed paths with 50 Cent, and that moment finally arrived in 2002.
Suge's outside! Everybody like, running, dropping, like, man, everybody going, I'm in front of the camera like this.
50 Cent was in the studio filming the music video for his now iconic hit, In Day Club, a track that played a major role in launching his career to the next level. But during the shoot, things took an unexpected turn when someone suddenly shouted, "Suge Knight is here!" And that's when the atmosphere shifted, quickly becoming tense and chaotic.
Somebody said, Suge Knight here. I was at the bar, Gang was there, he was shooting in the club scene.
Suge Knight allegedly approached 50 Cent with around 30 of his men, making a sudden and forceful entrance before anyone could fully grasp what was happening. His message was clear. He was there to assert his presence and keep a close watch on everything going down. Faced with the intimidating West Coast mogul and his entourage, much of 50's crew quickly dispersed, recognizing the serious tension in the air.
Suge looked at him, and he took a puff of his cigar, and he blew it out, and he did like this, and they left.
And just like that, the unexpected meeting came to an end. Suge was likely expecting 50 Cent to fold or beg for mercy, but instead, he got a response that was the complete opposite. 50 showed absolutely no fear in the face of Suge and his intimidating entourage, standing his ground without flinching. It became clear to Suge that confronting 50 would get him nowhere. And 50 went on to finish filming what would become one of the most iconic music videos of all time. No one knew exactly why Suge chose to show up that day, but Eminem had his suspicions.
We have a chance to maybe do something with him. Let's try to see what's up. So I think the first time I met 50 was at a release party. Was it in New York?
And based on Suge's history of planned hits and alleged attempts to eliminate his rivals, it's highly likely that his sudden appearance at the Indie Club video shoot wasn't just a coincidence. Many believe he showed up with the intention of finishing 50 Cent once and for all.
No action, no business. Every running, getting up out of there. Every New York killer, whatever you name, all these that was like the right.
But now, a lot of time has passed since Suge tried to assert his dominance in the rap game. Still, people can't help but compare Suge and Eminem's current realities. It's widely known that Suge is now behind bars, with no clear sign of when or if he'll be released. And the powerful influence he once held has completely faded. In contrast, Eminem and 50 Cent went on to build two of the most successful careers in hip-hop history and are often regarded as some of the greatest to ever do it.
I don't know if we really set out to create anything. It was more Let's just make the best music that we can make. Patiently Waiting was one of the first beats I sent Fifth, actually.
Not only are they two of the best rappers in the industry, but their unexpected encounters and shared battles also made them iconic for their unshakable friendship. Suge, on the other hand, well, we all know how his story turned out.